In this review, we're going to talk about, or basically look at how to add and subtract fractions. So take, for example, we have 1/2 plus 1/3, okay? So before you can add the fractions, you need to, first of all, understand the denominators need to be equal. So we need to look for some way to make the 2 and the 3 equal. So now obviously the 2 and the 3 are not equal. So, and since this fraction is a very simple fraction and 2 and 3 are just prime numbers, what we're going to do out here is we're going to look for some way to find something called the lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator. And the way, in this particular case, we're going to look for factors that are common to both denominators. So let's take the first denominator, that's 2. Well, what are the factors of 2? Well, 1 and 2, basically. Well, let's take the next denominator, 3. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Okay, so as you can see, 1 is the only common factor between both of these. So if I try to figure out all the factors and only look at the basically put down the common factors only one time. So since 1 appears in both of them, I'm going to put down 1 only once, and then I'm going to put down 2, and then I'm going to put down 3 because I have the 2 out here, and then I have the 3 out here. So now I'm going to multiply these factors out, and then I have 6. So 6 is what I call my lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator is also commonly abbreviated as LCD. Oops, sorry about that. So LCD. So there we go. Okay. And so once I have the 6, then the way I add the fractions is I look at my first fraction, I look at the first denominator basically, and I ask myself, well, if I take 6 and I divide it by 2, I get 3. So therefore this first fraction gets multiplied with 3. And so that would look something like this. You take the 3, multiply it with the 1 on top, take the 3, multiply it with the 2 below. And then time to go to the next fraction. Look at the denominator. Well, 3 goes into 6 2 times. So that fraction needs to be multiplied with 2. So take 2, so multiply 2 times 1, and then 2 times 3. Okay, and now I'm going to simplify each fraction. First of all, we're not going to reduce, we're just going to multiply across to each of the fractions. So that becomes 3 over 6, and then the next one becomes 2 over 6. And now we can see when we did all this, now we have the same denominator. So to add these fractions, we're just going to draw a straight line, write the denominator only once because they have the same denominator, and then we're going to just add the numerators across. So that makes it 5 over 6. And there you have it. That's how you add this fraction. Let's take a look at another fraction. So now feel free to pause the video, do the work the problem yourself, and then if you need the explanation, unpause the video, and then you can continue from there, okay? So let's take a look at another example. This time we have 2 over 3 minus 1 over 4. Now it's not an addition, it's a subtraction, but the rules are pretty similar. So since the denominators are not the same, we're going to go ahead and find the LCD. Okay, so to find the LCD, I'm going to write the 3 first and then the 4. So for the 3, the factors of 3 are 1, 3. Factors of 4 are 1, 4. And actually that 4 can be split down further. So we can just write it 1, 2, 2, because 1 times 2 is 4. And then since the 1 appears in both of them, I'm just going to write the 1 only one time. Then I'm going to put the 3 down, and then I have the 2 and then the 2 again. Okay. Now, just a note out here. The only one you will write down all the factors, and then the factors that are common to both the denominators has to be written only once. Okay. So if I multiply these out, that's going to give me 1 times 3 times 2 times 2, which is going to give me 12. So that is my LCD, okay? Now I'm going to look at the first fraction, the first denominator in that fraction, and I'm going to say 3 times 4 gives me 12, so I have to multiply that fraction with 4. So 4 times 2 over 4 times 3. Notice carefully, I'm multiplying the numerator as well as the denominator with the 4. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the next fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, so I have to multiply the fraction with 3. So 3 times 1 time over 3 times 4. And then that simplifies to 8 over 12 minus 3 over 12. And now since I have the same denominator, I'm only going to write it once, 12, and then I'm going to put 8 minus 3 on top, which gives me 5 over 12. And that should be the answer for the next fraction. Let's do another one. So let's see, suppose you have 3 over 4 minus 1 over 6. Okay, so at this point in time, again, we have to find the LCD since the denominators are not the same. So for the LCD, find the factors of 4, which is going to be 1, 2, 2. And the factors of 6 is going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1 appears in both of them, so I write down the 1 only one time. Well, it turns out, there's the 1, and it turns out 2 appears in both of them as well. So I'm going to write down the 2 only one time. And then I have the remaining 2 and the 3, which appears only once in each of them, so I have to write the 2 and the 3 once below. So now I'm going to multiply them out. That gives me 2 times 2 is 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. That's my LCD. So now if I look at the first denominator, 4 times 3 is 12, so that fraction gets multiplied with 3. 3 times 3 over 3 times 4. The second denominator, 6 times 2 is 12, so it gets multiplied with 2. 2 times 1 over 2 times 6. And that gives me 9 over 12 minus 2 over 12. And now I can write the 12 only once because the denominators are the same, and then write 9 minus 2, which gives us 7 over 12 as the simplified answer. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, feel free to pause the video and work the problems, and then you can, unpause it and check if your thinking is correct about this. Let's do another one. So let's say I have 1 over 9 plus 4 over 15. Okay. So since the denominators are not the same, let's find the LCD. So factors of 9 is 1, 3, and 3. Or factors of 15 happens to be 1, 3, and 5. And since I have 1 common to both of them and 3 common to both of them, well, I'm going to write 1 only one time, 3 only one time, but then the remaining 3 and 5 2 times, okay? Not 2 times, 1 time each. When I multiply them out, that gives me, 9, that gives me 45, okay? So my LCD is 45, so I'm going to take the first fraction, 9, I'm going to ask myself, 9 goes into 45 5 times, so the first fraction gets multiplied with 5, and then 15 goes into 45 3 times, so 3 times 4 over 3 times 15. Simplifying, I get 5 over 45 plus 9 over, that should be 12 over 45, okay? And then I just basically write the 45 once and then add across. That gives me 17 over 45. That is the final answer for this one. Let's do one more. Now, the next one is going to be a little different. So I have a whole number subtracting, and I have a fraction subtracted from the whole number. So 1 minus 5 over 12. So oftentimes these kind of problems tend to be a little confusing because you don't have a fraction on one side and you have a fraction on the other side. So the way you deconvolute things is just make the other side a fraction. So that can be written as 1 over 1 minus 5 over 12. There you go. So once you have that as a fraction, you basically have two different denominators. Let's find the LCD for that one. So factors of 1 is only 1. Factors of 12 happen to be 1, 3, well, 2 and 2, right? So since 1 appears in both of them, we'll write that only once, and then we have bring the 3 down and the 2 down and the 2. Multiplying them out, we find out that that's the LCD is 12. Okay, so now coming back to the fractions, 1 goes into 12, well, 12 times. So the first fraction gets multiplied with 12. 12 times 1 over 12 times 1 minus the second fraction. 12 goes into 12 only one time. So the second fraction gets multiplied with 1. Okay, so then simplifying that, we have 12 over 12 minus 5 over 12, which is equal to, put the 12 only once down there, 12 minus 5 gives me 7 over 12. And there you have it. And that should kind of wrap up this little review on adding and subtracting fractions. Thank you for watching.